Welcome to Jewels of Wisdom, Remix 2.0, Messages of Inspiration. Bible study in 22 minutes or less. With host Mora Bat-Shiva. Putting the wisdom of God back into our relationships. The beginning of wisdom is, get wisdom, yeah, with all thy getting get understanding. Proverbs chapter 4 verse 7. Wisdom, she is more precious than rubies, and all the things thou canst desire are not to be compared unto her. Proverbs chapter 3 verse 15. Wisdom is the ability to think and act utilizing knowledge, experience, understanding, common sense, and insight. Shalom Aleichem, Boker Tov, Saharayim Tovim, Erev Tov, Leila Tov, L'Kol. Breaking the chains of mental slavery with the wisdom of God. From slaves, to Negro, to colored, to black, to Afro-American, to African-American, to Hebrew Israelite, to Hebrew. Thanks for watching. Please take a second to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell for notifications.
Praise the power of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yisrael, the creator of the heavens, the earth, the seas, and all that in them is. My Savior, my Redeemer, even the Savior and Redeemer of Yisrael. Almighty Yah, I thank and praise you for the blessings of another day and the privilege of beginning it with you. I ask you to open our eyes so we can see your goodness throughout this earth and then seek you with a perfect and sincere heart. To unstop our ears so we can hear your words, which are your laws, that if a man walks therein, he should live. I thank and praise you for all your blessings, mercies, benefits, and grace that you have bestowed upon all of your servants, even the children of Yisrael. For truly you have been good to Yisrael, for your mercies endure forever. They're new each day, and I thank you for them. Selah. Shalom Aleichem, and welcome to Jewels of Wisdom 2.0, which is a condensed version of a Bible study lesson. Today's lesson on Jewels of Wisdom 2.0, Bible study in 22 minutes or less, is taken from the series Learn Not the Ways of the Nations, and is titled The Covenant of Marriage, How God Orders Marriage. Before I begin, Almighty Yah, I ask you for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of your word that can be found in the Holy Scriptures from Genesis through Malachi, and that it is not my intention nor my purpose to mislead, misguide, nor misdirect anyone off the path of righteousness. Hallelujah! Hallelujah! Learn Not the Ways of the Nations is a series derived from Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2. It reads, Thus saith Yah, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. For the heathen are dismayed at them. That's why. So does that include how our marriages are conducted? Yes. It also includes how our marriages are conducted, Israel. And today's lesson is titled, Learn Not the Ways of the Nations, the Covenants of Marriage, how God orders marriage. Is there a blueprint for marriage according to Holy Scriptures? Does God have requirements for marriage, or is it every man for himself? Does God require a covenant before marriage? Can there be a marriage without a covenant? Does sex constitute marriage? What is required before man can take a wife? And finally, why are our marriages failing? These are some of the questions that will be answered in this lesson. The first and most obvious reason to the last question is that many men and women are simply listening to the multitude of opinions, either in the media or to blind leaders or to other nations' misinterpretation of our laws without going to Holy Scriptures to see exactly what God has declared. The second reason why our marriages are failing is because our definition of marriage is so confusing that some of our men and women simply do not want to hear nor do what Elohim has commanded and what he himself has done. These men and women think that their way is better than God's plan. They think love is the foundation for marriage. That's why our marriages are failing, Israel, because we want to be more righteous than God. Some of our blind brothers and sisters think sex constitutes a marriage, and it doesn't. Believe it or not, God's original plan for marriage was to be permanent. For God hates divorce. It's evil that descended from the imagination of our own wicked heart. Let's go to Malachi chapter 2, verse 16, and see what Elohim says about marriage. For it reads, For Jehovah, the God of Israel, said that he hated putting away. For one covereth violence with his garment, said Jehovah of hosts. He hates it. So why are our brothers and sisters doing something that God hates? He hates divorce. He holds you to your agreement. But since we are more righteous than God, our forefathers demanded a divorce, and so do our brothers today. They don't realize that when they divorce their spouses, they are separating themselves from the will of God. For this is not his plan for man. We are getting further and further away from God's plans for man. What is a covenant? In a literal sense, a covenant is a binding agreement, a legal contract. It is a seal between two or more parties. What is a covenant according to Holy Scriptures? The word covenant derives from the same root word meaning to cut. This means that in the Holy Scriptures, covenants carried weight and was often cut or sealed in blood. The Hebrew term barit for covenant is from a root with the sense of cutting, because pacts or covenants were made by passing between cut pieces of flesh of an animal sacrifice. I will discuss two different covenants in Holy Scriptures. The first one between God and man, and the second one between man and man. Just as God enters into a covenant with his people, so does he ordain marriage as a sacred covenant between man and woman. Between God and man, a covenant is a divine ordinance with signs or pledges. One of the significant covenants in the scriptures is one that God made with Abraham in Genesis chapters 15 through 17. The sign of this was in a cutting of the flesh called circumcision. Between God and Israel, a covenant is a divine ordinance given to Israel with promises on conditional blessings for obedience and curses for disobedience. The one that God made with the children of Israel is the one that would set the foundation for our marriages. Our covenant of marriage is supposed to resemble God's covenant of marriage with Israel. So, what are the requirements for a covenant? It can be verbal or written. It must have a witness or witnesses. The covenant must include obligations of both parties. And finally, a token or sign of the agreement. Also, in Deuteronomy chapter 19, verse 15, says, one witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity or for any sin in any sin that he sinneth. At the mouth of two witnesses or at the mouth of three witnesses shall a matter be established. So, brothers, if you lie, which lying is a sin, and say that a sister is not your wife, then let the witnesses speak. Where are the witnesses to this union? My sister or my brother? Says you having sex behind closed doors is just causing him to make a whore out of you. He has the benefits of marriage without the obligation. It's just like the popular saying, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? Sex is a duty of marriage and does not establish nor constitute marriage. Don't let these brothers fool you. It benefits them not to marry you. And also, I didn't see anywhere in Holy Scriptures where getting a marriage license interfered with or is contrary to Holy Scriptures. Brothers get legal documents for birth certificates, social security cards, driver licenses for land, real estate, so forth and so on. But buck at getting a license for marriage because they want an easy out. They want to be married when it benefits them and want to leave when it no longer benefits them. I will focus on the covenant of marriage that God made with Israel, for this is our blueprint for our marriages. But first, I will establish that God is a husband to the children of Israel. I will briefly discuss the covenant that he made with our forefathers, the same covenant that we are bound by as of today. According to Isaiah chapter 54, verse 5, it says, for thy maker is thine husband, Yah of hosts is his name, and thy redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, the God of the whole earth, shall he be called. Also in Ezekiel chapter 16, verse 8, now when I passed by thee and looked upon thee, behold, that time was a time of love, and I spread my skirt over thee and covered thy nakedness. Yea, I swear unto thee, and enter into a covenant with thee, said Yah Elohim, and thou becamest mine. Notice the Creator swore, made a promise. Then he entered into a covenant, a written covenant. And then we became his bride, his wife. You see, brothers, that's the way our marriages are supposed to be conducted. You betroth the woman as your future wife. Make an agreement. And then she becomes your wife. Not sex. Nowhere in here where it says sex constitute a marriage. You have sex first. Adam and Eve didn't do it. So why aren't our brothers following this blueprint? Because they want the benefits of marriage without the obligation. That's why. Exodus chapters 19 through 34 details the making of this covenant. I will summarize some of the key verses in this covenant. In Exodus chapter 19, verse 3, Moses goes up the first time into Mount Sinai, and God announces to him the general terms of the covenant. In verses 5 and 6, if you obey me and keep my covenant, you will be my special possession, a kingdom of priests, a holy nation. Moses goes down, reports to the people, and in verse 8, they accept the covenant. All Yah has spoken, we will do. Moses returns with this acceptance to Yah. In verse 9, God says that he is coming down to speak to Moses in the earshot of the people so that they will believe Moses. In Exodus chapter 24, verse 3, Moses reports all the words and ordinances of God to the people. And again, they accept the terms of the covenant. All the words which Yah has spoken, we will do. Then Moses writes the words which he had received in a book in verse 4 and builds an altar, sacrifices several oxen, and seals the covenant with blood. Verses 5 through 8. And in Exodus chapter 24, verses 7 and 8, he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people, and they said, all that Yah has said will we do, and be obedient. Verse 8, and Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people and said, behold, the blood of the covenant which Yah had made with you concerning all these words. And what I just read is an offer and an acceptance of that offer, called an agreement, a covenant. Yah specified his terms, and our forefathers agreed to them to be his covenant people. And it was sealed with blood, Israel. Sealed with blood. And we are the witnesses. Our forefathers were witnesses, and we are the future generations of witnesses to this covenant. Now, think about our modern day legal marriages. Some city governments still require a blood test and witnesses prior to marriage. And our token is the wedding bands and our wedding rings. You see how some things are loosely connected to the Holy Scriptures? Therefore, a man fulfills these three purposes when he commits to the covenant of marriage. First, he represents Yah in his image and his marriage to Israel, his chosen nation. Second, he is given a helper, companion, wife equal to him intellectually. Third, to bring forth the holy seed as stated in Malachi chapter 2, verses 14 and 15. Does sex constitute marriage? And it reads, if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. What is betrothed? According to Bible Dictionary, the period of engagement preceding marriage, betrothal, was a binding contract established between two families and sealed by the exchange of gifts. So let's break down this verse 16. If a man entice a maid, so you enticing, brainwashing, talking all those sweet nothings to her, and she end up falling for it, and you sleep with her. It says, then you should surely endow her to be your wife. Not that she is already your wife. Because why? Because a father can object, as in verse 17. The Most High put that safety net in place. So brothers wouldn't go out there talking about, I'm going to go sleep with her. I'm going to go bypass the father and sleep with her. And she going to be my wife. No, that's foolishness. And God is not a part of foolishness. He about order. He about law. He knows some fools will try to pull this foolishness on some female. Go out there and talk to her, lie to her, build her up. Oh, I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to do that for you. In order to get her to sleep with him and be just like David's son Amnon. Put out and bolt the door behind her. The Most High knew this. Why would the Most High be all about disorder? That's foolish to think that sex constitutes a marriage. It said if you lie with her, he shall endow her. What you think that means? Shall. It ain't said she was already your wife because the father can object. Not over my dead body with this bomb marry my daughter. And look what verse 17 says. And if a father utterly refuse to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins. So even though you don't have her as a wife, you still have to pay the dowry, brothers. That'll keep you from going from woman to woman, sleeping with them, thinking because you slept with them, that's your wife, and the father can object. And then you'll pay all that money. That'll teach you about going outside the laws of God, making whores out of the women. Because you still have to pay the dowry of virgins. You have to pay to play. And in the end, you might not even have a wife, but you done paid the dowry of virgins because you slept with her. The Most High about justice. He's about order. Not about that foolishness. That's that wife. Because they had sex. Sex does not constitute marriage. It is a duty of marriage. So I don't know why these blind brothers around here saying that sex constitutes marriage, and some of our blind sisters fall for the okie doke. Sisters, these brothers are making whores out of you with no intention of taking care of you, nor marrying you. After the newness of the relationship dies down, then they move on to another sister, leaving behind a trail of sisters that have been used for their own sexual pleasure and gratification. The marriage between Isaac and Rebekah was verbal and was sealed with gifts. It's found in Genesis chapter 24, verses 48 through 53, and verse 67. You don't see nowhere in the Holy Scriptures where somebody had sex and they say that's your wife. What is required before a man can take a wife? I'm getting ready to show you. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 29, verses 1 through 6. And it reads, now these are the words of the letter that Jeremiah the prophet sent from Jerusalem unto the residue of the elders which were carried away captives, and to the priests, and to the prophets, and to all the people whom Nebuchadnezzar had carried away captive from Jerusalem to Babylon. So these people were in Babylon. The Most High knew where they were. He caused it to happen. You'll see in verse 4. At verse 2, after that, Jeconiah the king and the queen and the eunuchs, the princes of Yehuda and Jerusalem, and the carpenters and the smiths were departed from Jerusalem. They all had left by the hand of Elisah, the son of Shaphan, and Gemariah, the son of Hilkiah, whom Zedekiah, king of Yehuda, sent into Babylon to Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, saying, thus said Yah of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, and to all that are carried away captives, whom I have caused to be carried away from Jerusalem unto Babylon. The Most High said, I'll cause this. Because they stiff-necked, hard-headed, don't want to obey. Got put out. Just like when you have rules in your home, your children don't want to obey, your grown children. You put them out. The Most High kicked us out of the land. And look what the first thing he said on here for the man to do is build ye houses and dwell in them, and plant gardens and eat the fruit of them. Then you take a wife. Because they ain't telling no sister to do this. It said, then you take a wife. Marriage is between man and woman. It's the same blueprint the Most High set forth in Genesis. He said, build ye houses, brothers, and dwell in them. Now, where in this holy scriptures, brother? Where? Where did the Most High say move in with your girlfriend, with your baby mama, with your side chick? Where? Where is it? The Most High knew where they were. He knew where they were. He knew they were in captivity. And he commanded them to do these things. It wasn't impossible then, and it isn't impossible now. The difference is that our men are worshiping the God of laziness, the God of excuses, the God of getting over, and the God of foolishness. Talking about that slave master holding them down. No, you holding yourself down. I'm blaming it on a black woman. You know we over here in captivity. Brothers, stop making excuses for your laziness. Your wife's house is not your house. And if per se you and her are having a conflict or you decide to leave the marriage, you ought to leave her house or apartment and not her. Some fool in New York was teaching it. If they get a divorce, he stays in the house and she gets out her house now. She had before they even got married, but she had to leave the house. How can you make a crooked thing straight, my brother? You want to lay up in her house or apartment, but then rule her. You can't do that. A real man won't slide into a woman's residence unless he can afford to take care of her in her residence. Brothers, you are all out of order. The Most High ain't never told you to move up into your girlfriend, side chick, baby mama's house. And sisters, stop selling for these guys who are moving from their mama's house to their woman's house or from any woman's house. Being in captivity is no excuse. It wasn't an excuse in Jeremiah's time, and it is no excuse in our time. Brothers have their wives out here working under another man who talks to her any kind of way, treats her any kind of way, and then she goes home to a guy who treats her any kind of way and talks to her any kind of way. What's up with that? Will Moses allow another man to be ruling over his wife? Abraham? Isaac? Jacob? No. These men on the job harassing her sexually, stressing her out. I mean, disrespect her, say anything to her. I don't care if it's a brother, one of us there. Another man shouldn't be ruling over your woman. She should be in the house under your control and your guidance. That's why our marriages are failing, all out of order. All out of order. You cannot make a crooked thing straight. And then she out here under the control of other influences. Then our mother Eve get in trouble for that very thing, allowing something other than her husband to influence her, thus causing a breach between her husband, and the Most High Yah. I mean, build ye houses and dwell in them and plant gardens. Be able to sustain yourself, brother. Be able to eat. And then take a wife. And then have children. And then take wives for your sons. And give daughters to husbands, that they may bear sons and daughters, and multiply ye and be not diminished. But no, we are being diminished here through abortion. Down low, brothers. Drugs, alcohol, cancer, diabetes, strokes, hypertension, anything and everything. We are being judged by these laws, Israel, whether we adhere to them or not. These are God's laws. He sets it in order. Let's go to Genesis chapter 2, verse 8 to see if they're corroborating scriptures to support Jeremiah chapter 29, verses 5 and 6. Verse 8, the Most High gave him shelter, a garden called the Garden of Eden. He put the man there to live. That's shelter. And then verses 15 and 16, he gave him work, told him to keep the garden and to eat of it. See, shelter, a garden, to sustain yourself and eat the fruit of it. And then, and only then in verse 18, did he say, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make a help me for him. You see, brothers, these verses in Genesis corroborate Jeremiah chapter 29, verses 5 and 6. You have to dig deep, my brother. Dig deep. He ain't never said go out there and get a wife that you can't afford. The Most High set the blueprint. And you will see later on in this chapter that Eve became his wife before they had sex. not the other way around. So let's finish this chapter out. In verse 21, and Yah caused the deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which Yah Elohim had taken from man made he a woman, and brought her unto Adam. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his girlfriend. Cleave unto his baby mama. Cleave unto his side chick. It said cleave unto his wife. She is called a wife before they even have sex. And they shall be one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and his wife. Not baby mama, not girlfriend, not side chick. Not other wife. His wife. And were not ashamed. This is the order of things, brothers. This is the order of things, sister. You become a wife before you have sex. So no, sex does not constitute marriage, period. God set it in order. Yisrael, this is the order of things. So why aren't our men using this blueprint? It's the perfect example of what to do before taking a wife. Brothers, return back to the instruction manual, for it is your blueprint and guide for holy and righteous marriages.
Putting God back into our relationships. Weekly Bible study with Morabat Shiva on Thursdays at 7 to 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Jewels of Wisdom. Messages of inspiration. Putting the wisdom of God back into our relationships. With host Morabat Shiva. Sundays at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom, and with all that getting get understanding. Proverbs chapter 4 verse 7. Thanks for watching. Share, like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notification.